Okay, guys, so we are ready to go.
Yes.
Thank you guys for being so patient. You know that the first 5, 6 minutes is always a madness.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you guys for staying locked.
And
So like
yeah.
like Siobhan said, we're going to be talking about this subject. It's a little bit controversial,
I think it is.
but I think the standpoint that we're going to take today is just kind of how we tackled it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like when we were getting ready for marriage, because we had to have some real conversations.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think sometimes when you're in the kind of butterfly season of a relationship, it's sometimes really difficult
Yeah.
to have hard conversations.
Yeah.
But it is so important
Absolutely.
to have them. So before we start,
Yeah.
thank you guys again for joining us
Yeah.
on Facebook, on the rebroadcast if you're watching this again.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, my name is Ulrich,
And I'm Siobhan.
and this particular topic that we're going to be talking about today is called Divorce is Not an Option.
It's not an option. No.
So it's almost like a statement and a question.
Yes.
Because we know that there's some people who are like, yes, I agree. And there's other people who are like,
Divorce is not an option?
is it not an option?
Are you for real? So,
And yeah, so we're going to go for it. We've
Exactly.
been married for 10 years, guys. We celebrated 10 years this year in September. And we love relationships where we class ourselves as relationship coaches. Because we just love to talk about all things relationships.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Helping the next generation or just helping people in general.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
kind of navigate through their relationships, to get it to work, to get it to a place where they believe in love again.
yeah.
So yes, this is what inspired this
Yes.
topic. Ha!
Absolutely. So,
Yes.
Okay, so let's give you a bit of a brief history. Ulrich and I, as he said, we've been married for 10 years. We dated for 3.5 years before then, and we were friends for about 1.5 years. So in total, our friendship or our togetherness spans about 15 to 16 years. So it's a really, really long time.
Yeah, it's a long time. Ago.
Thank you.
Now that you say it.
It is a long time. It is a long time together. But in that long time together, we were able to have, from very, very early
Yeah.
in our relationship and getting to know each other, we were able to discuss with each other some of the foundational things. Like, you know, like these are complete no-go areas, not willing to compromise,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
willing to change, not willing to accept, like, this is
Yeah.
a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Okay, so the deal breaker is either, are we going to have children together? If either of us said no, don't want children, deal breaker. So sorry, pretty face and all, but I got a chip. I can't really get down like that. I can't really even pursue
Yeah.
anything further here because I know that we want different things.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
at the end of the
Fully.
day, I'm not going to try to change you. You're entitled to have the opinion and the belief that you have, and vice versa. And it's exactly the same with how do you feel about expressing anger? Are you verbal, like are you shouter,
That elephant
kind of,
charging in.
yeah, or are you physical in that kind of way?
Or are you like a sniper? Are you like a hedgehog?
You know
Where
those
you
ones.
just let off those you're just silent and it's just like doof doof.
You know those kind of things. If you are that way inclined, I don't know if we can continue any further because we have different ways of expressing ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's cool. Hey guys, good to see you.
Hey,
So I
to the adult cookers, I'm done with you. What does that even mean, Rochelle?
so like we are really looking at, okay, where are the deal breakers?
Yeah.
And one of the deal breakers for us was,
Yes.
how do you see marriage?
Yeah.
Is divorce an option?
Definitely. And I think and I think what I want you guys to understand, because today we're almost going to interview each other.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think it's so important for you guys to understand kind of like our ethos behind why we're even dealing with this subject. Because a lot of times we don't, in premaritals anyway, that we knew about growing up, divorce wasn't really something that you spoke about.
It's true.
Do you know what I mean?
It's
like
true.
people who we were accountable to, nobody talked about divorce. Do you know what I mean? It was just something that, you either you don't do or you do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I think the reason why we need to talk about it is because in your relationship, you kind of have to look at all aspects of it. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And divorce obviously is the one thing that unfortunately sometimes does or has happened to some people. And I think for me particularly, because I did a bit of a study on it back in the day, I studied it because it was somewhere I didn't want to go.
Yeah. It's important.
I didn't want to get there.
Yeah.
You know when they say, you need to study your enemies. Like I needed to study the one thing that I didn't want to enter into.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So it's really important because all the kind of studying that I did, the conclusion that I realized was that divorce is a death of a relationship.
Gosh.
But the difference is that the people are still alive.
Oh, that's so mad. Even as you say that, I just think, like with Saul in the Bible, where God now says he rejects him when he's no longer allowed to be king. But yet he's still on the throne until David is anointed, and then David has to rise up and take that throne. But yet he has to still walk it out knowing that
His time was up.
his time was up. The favor is not with him. And I think that is just going back to what you said as the example, that it's a death of the relationship, but yet you still got now the two people living. It's almost
And
like,
if there's children involved,
that's
it's even worse
you're
because
walking
it's
in
like
the shell of it, the shell of what once was,
yeah.
and it's like the shadow of what's missing is hollow. It's like not a nice experience, but where it was warm, there's now the absence, and you feel the absence of that thing.
Yeah, you feel it. And I think talking about it, because it's a hard thing. It's a hard thing to talk about divorce, and I think we have to embrace it because and see it for what it actually is.
Yeah.
So that we can do everything that we can to make sure that it's avoided, that it's not even an option.
Yeah.
Because you're building, because we're kind of in this society where we have to insure everything, and a lot of things that a lot of kind of people that we've spoken about this issue, they're like, divorce is almost like their insurance card,
Of course.
or prenuptial agreements. We're not even going to go into that today, or prenups and stuff like that. It's the insurance of the relationship.
Yeah.
And actually, when you begin to think about it, it's almost like, because I understand obviously what insurance is. You have your phone, your TV, your all that stuff.
Life
You insure
insurance,
it.
everything.
Life insurance. Do you know what I mean? You got to in the event of
something happening that was unplanned for.
Yeah, but then we're now talking about marriage, and I think what we're going to talk about is like what is the purpose of marriage?
That's it.
Do you know what I mean?
That's it.
What is kind of like God's perspective of marriage?
Yeah.
Because the Bible says in Malachi that He hated marriage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't His idea.
That was never.
It wasn't His idea. It was Moses' idea. Sorry guys. Sorry, lost you there for a bit. It wasn't God's idea.
Yeah.
It was man's idea. And even when you begin to look in the New Testament, when the Pharisees were asking Jesus, and they said, can a husband put his wife away for any and any reason?
Yeah.
And then Jesus was just like, he's just the guy. He was just like, well, in the beginning it was not so.
Come back to that now.
So he completely ignored their question because they were trying to trick him, because they just wanted to put away their wives because they just wanted to go away and do their own thing. And, when you begin to read, I think the chapter before that, I'll get the chapter for you guys. It's written down somewhere. Jesus spoke about unforgiveness. And he said that the reason why the men, or rather divorce, was happening in that time was because of the hardness of their heart.
Yeah.
So that means that there was an element of unforgiveness that was happening within these relationships that Jesus could see. And he just had to say to them, look, in the beginning, when God created all of this is not how He intended it to be. He intended marriage to be forever. Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things that we want to help instill back into our society, that although society or the media is portraying marriage as this kind of handbag situation where you can just take and drop and oh, I don't like this anymore. This whole kind of microwave generation. But we have to go back to the garden. We have to go back to when God originated it. It was for purpose. It was for two to become one flesh. Do you know what I mean? And even that, just to share a little bit as well, because I remember this from when I was doing my research, like the way that I started to see marriage, it was like a fusion. I don't know if you guys have ever seen when like metal is like welded together. Like when you look at it, like you can, there's no way that you can separate it.
Yeah.
But divorce is now you trying to rip that fused relationship. Like just picture that. Imagine you got like a tweed jacket or something, or like a woolen thing that's been woven together, and then just try to rip that apart. That is literally what marriage does. And all of these visuals, I'm saying it because these are the things that we have to start thinking about. Because once we have the picture of, okay, cool, this is not really what God wants for us.
Yeah.
So if this is not what God wants for us, let's take the time to put the right things in place so that we never have to experience that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like even in today, like with this pandemic, you know, everybody's now becoming a lot more health conscious because they're beginning to realize that the things that we put in our body sometimes doesn't help our general health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's kind of similar, because it's like if we want that longevity
in the marriage,
marriage,
good,
what you begin to absorb, what you begin to put in is what's now going to give you that longevity, so that you don't attract particular diseases or, you know, things that may, you know, make you sick, or you have to die early. Do you know what I'm saying? Yes, you get your life insurance, whatever, but ultimately what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love what you shared there, because I think, okay, cool. A chocolate now and again, it's not going to do the end. It's not going to be bad. But I think if you continually have that as your steady diet, you will see the negative outcomes of it.
That's so good. What's the diet of your marriage?
What's the diet of your marriage? What's the temperament of your marriage? What's it like? The minute you see that it's getting toxic, we need to now start identifying, okay, how are we getting here? One of the most classic and understated things that are the reasons why we end up getting into toxicity in marriage is unforgiveness.
Come on.
So the minute we get into an argument, and then we don't really resolve that, and we go away hurt or unmet or unresolved
expectations,
and then we carry that, and then we don't let it go, we don't forgive, and then something else happens. We've already got our backup from what took place the week before. So now we have a list.
Wow.
And the Bible already tells us that love keeps no record of wrongs. That's love. Jeez. God is love, and that's why He doesn't keep any of our wrongs against us. So love keeps no record of wrongs. And when we come to our spouse, I know I am guilty of it.
Me too.
We can quite easily be like, wasn't it last week that you was the one saying XYZ, and now when it's me, you don't want to be saying XYZ, but you know that last week we've got a list of the record of wrongs. Then when it comes to the relationship, what happens is we're less forgiving. We're less accommodating. We're less tolerant. We're less likely now to say, I see you. Don't worry, I got it.
Definitely.
Or even when the person says, I'm sorry, actually accepting it. Because even though the person's apologized, your back is still up. Because you haven't let it go. You haven't processed that forgiveness. You haven't actually said, it's cool. Because the righteous man falls 7 times. That means even the person that we love, they will make several.
They are not perfect.
1 or 2. They will make.
You're not married to Jesus.
They will make several mistakes. Don't matter how much they read their Bible. Don't matter how much they love God.
As long as they're human, as long as they got flesh,
they will make mistakes. They will tumble into situations. And be like, "Geez, how did I even And here's the worst. When they don't apologise. When they don't even say,
when they don't see
I'm
that they've
sorry.
done something wrong.
In their opinion, they're not wrong. Because we've had a number of those situations where
Well,
I see it from my point and Ulrich sees it from his point, and he's like, well, I'm sorry, I'm not wrong. This is how I see it. This is how I see it. And I'm like, well, that's not the correct way to see it. And he's like, how can you tell me my way's not the correct way to see it?
and I've used those words. I am not wrong.
But the truth of the matter is, I can't now have that unforgiveness in my heart
Yeah.
because he hasn't apologized or he hasn't acknowledged his error or what I think is the error.
Yeah.
Because that's where we start getting into the realm of, I've got a mark against your name now.
Definitely. But I think another thing that we should kind of talk about is actually talk about divorce.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people get to a point of saying, I want a divorce. But quite a few people get there for various different reasons.
Absolutely.
You know, because I don't want it to be a thing where we're trying to say, oh, the reason why you would get a divorce is because you didn't do this or you didn't do that, because then that makes it accusatory.
Yeah.
But sometimes, because when we were doing a bit of research and stuff, sometimes people get to that place because of traumatic experiences that take place within the relationship, which are completely unforeseen.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whether it's a death of a loved one, death of a child.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be infidelity. Sometimes it can be finance.
Yeah.
Sometimes it can just be a change in faith.
Yeah.
You know, we've had some people who've had those experiences, and so it's kind of like what do we do in those scenarios? Like, let's take, for example, like a death of a loved one or a child, for example. How does somebody navigate that?
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean?
I think, like, to be honest, from the jump, there needs to be room for grieving.
Yeah.
Because I think the grieving process is one which is not the same. Like, there isn't a one size fits all.
Yeah.
There isn't a he grieves this way, I grieve this way, his way's wrong, my way's right, or any of that stuff. There just needs to be room for grieving, and grieving now comes with understanding that you may not want to speak right now.
Yeah.
Or you may just want to speak, but the other person may not be ready to. And now you need to somehow meet in the middle. But if you're going through the death of a loved one, the death of a child, or something that's close to you, most certainly more than anything else, that burden can't be shouldered alone.
And I think you're so right. And I think communication is very important during that kind of time as well. And I think with any situation or any scenario where somebody may be dealing with that, I think communication is key, because I think sometimes when, like you rightly said, when things happen and they hurt us, we tend to rather internalize and not verbalize.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the verbalization sometimes can get a bit rowdy.
Yeah.
Or crazy.
And you don't know what to say. Like, you're trying to comfort, and you may say the wrong thing, and then, or the flip side is, you don't actually know how to express what it is that you're feeling. I remember at the very beginning of our relationship, there would be times where I'd say to Ulrich, what's wrong? You're acting differently. And he'd be like, I haven't quite processed what it is. I haven't been able to put my finger on
What's going on?
what's upsetting me. I just know I'm upset about something. And I kid you not, maturity in processing emotions is so unique to every individual.
Absolutely.
Depending on what you've experienced in life, you now know or don't know how to communicate what you're feeling and how to understand how somebody else is feeling and how to have that joint empathy to meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But just going back to what you said, dealing with the unforeseen experiences and dealing with the unmet expectations or the disappointment, because I think outside of just a death, any disappointment that your marriage goes through on any level, whether it's financial, whether it's infidelity or any of those kind of things, disappointment needs to be handled well. Because if left undealt with, it can rot away at your marriage.
It's so true.
And I remember there were a number of seasons where we had expected some things. We had expected God to do things a certain way. We believed that God told us to do something. We stepped out and did that thing and fell flat on our face. And not even just that.
It felt like we fell flat.
No, we fell flat on our face and got a slap with it too. And we were just like, how did that even happen? I don't understand. Okay, a prime example. It's nothing like a miscarriage or a death or anything like that, but this was a big slap for us. We had been nominated for an award in the States.
Ooh.
We had released our album.
Gonna bring that up again. I was joking.
we had released our album.
That was hard.
That season, we have to go into that season another time with you guys because it's weighty.
We'll tell that story.
We tell that story another time. But we had so much hurt from that whole season.
Jeez.
And then we were nominated for an award and we were like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. We've been nominated for an award in America. They want to
tell the story because I don't think many people
want us to come out there. Yeah. And we were like, this is amazing. We prayed about it and we were like, God, we've been nominated for 2 awards. One for best newcomer or best duet, and one for best album. So we were just like, how could this be? They want us to come over and perform. Yeah. So we were like, this is it. We need to get any money we can together to get ourselves over there. We need to go big. We need to go bold. We need to go hard. This is it. And they said, right, if you want to, you have to book your space. So you have to pay
for everything.
You have to pay for your space. And then we can sort out what time you've got, how many minutes, what backdrop, all the stuff you want, all of that stuff. So we are excited, like, this is happening. Wow. We started this process with them in December.
No, it wasn't December, it was before.
No, it was December. December. We said yes to them.
Okay.
And at that point in time, things were low. Like money, the mucha, you know, this little thing that makes money go round. That was low in the bank for us. There was not much. To the point that we were like, okay, this would be the end of the savings, basically.
Yeah, because we had maxed out everything.
We had maxed out everything to get the album out. And we hadn't quite got to the stage that we were reaping in enough to say, right, we'll take this and so on and so on. And then we got a little mucha from somebody in the family as well. So we're like, oh, yeah, this puts it together. Now we've just about got enough to hold our space. And it wasn't no small boy. I'm saying at least 4 figures. You know what I'm trying to talk about? You know that kind of figure, those kind of numbers. We put that money down.
Our deposit.
We put that money down.
Put our deposit down.
We put that. We paid. We didn't know how we were going to get there. We didn't know how we were going to fly there. We said, right, it's in a year's time. It's in 9 months' time. 9 months. Just think about that number. 9 months' time. 3 months later, we find out we're pregnant with our first child.
It wasn't 3 months, you know, babe.
It was.
It couldn't have been because we found out in December.
We found out in we paid.
Because think about it. Remember the album came out in July.
Yeah. We got nominated.
But we got nominated. It must have been July, August. It must have been end of August, September, November, because it was around my birthday.
Okay. But November we got pregnant.
No, December we found out we got pregnant. November is when we paid the money and all that stuff.
So we paid in November and we
literally
found
a couple
out
of weeks.
We were pregnant in December. So we were like, oh no. We did our calculation. Baby's due August and this event is end of July. We can't fly. We've already paid our money. We prayed about this thing and we heard the Lord say, do it. Go for it.
Mad.
We called them up and we said, listen, we're really sorry. we've paid for that spot, but we can no longer attend. And they said, sorry to hear that.
But we don't do any refund.
We don't do refunds. And we were just like...
Not even congratulations, you know? Just, you know, something.
That's your business. They just said, it's your loss.
Boy.
That's it.
Tell you, boy.
And at the time, money was so tight. We were just like, God, we really could have done with that, because that would have helped with a number of things right now. But we had to just keep it moving. But the place that it took us to, because of everything else that was going on already, it just took us even lower. Then there are some other negative things that took place with that whole experience. Let's just say, because we had paid a certain way, they now had some details for our bank, and so they decided to help themselves with some
further payments. Unauthorized payments
that we were not expecting.
Jeez.
Up to the sum of a couple more hundred that we were just like,
it was deep.
What
Anyway,
what is going on?
Trauma, innit?
So, you know,
Slight trauma. We laugh about it now, but
yeah, when
you know,
you're in it now,
these are the kind of mad things.
But
do
you
know
know,
what I mean?
like, imagine you get kicked, you get knocked down, you get kicked in the face, and then someone takes your wallet as well. You're just like, seriously,
Mad.
whilst this is happening.
It's
Okay.
crazy.
So long and short of it is, I say all of that to say, we were so disappointed.
Yeah.
But God had to take us through how not to say, do you know what? I'm actually done. And this was quite early in our marriage. And I say it all to say that we had to band together. We had to grieve the loss of that expectation, because literally we kind of felt like maybe everything that we went through with the album was worth it if this thing was going to lift us up.
Yeah, if something good came out of it.
If something good came out of it, it's kind of like,
Well, something good according to
Yeah,
our
yeah,
standards. Because
to
loads
our
of good
opinion.
happened. Loads of good happened with that album, but... Jeez.
But exactly. And so to see that none of that happened, none of that manifest, it came and it went, and it was just like, but God, we prayed about this thing, we fasted, we thought that we heard you, we thought that you said do this thing. And it always reminds us of this scripture, I believe it's Judges 20, and they prayed about if they should go up against
Israel.
The Benjamites. Israel prays to say, should we go up against the Benjamites? And God says, go.
3 times tells them yes, and they go up and they lose.
And they lose and they get battered.
And they come
cry,
back.
and they weep, and they have to go back before the Lord and say, God, but I thought you said. And God said, yeah, go again.
And
they get battered. And the whole point of that scripture is telling us there are times that we will go through some real hard pressing situations.
Yeah.
There will be things that we will experience in our marriages, in our expectations that will hurt. They will be painful. But this is what God wants to see. Do you have the staying power? Can you take the punches, take the hits, take the licks, take the downs, and still say, I'm still here?
Can you believe even when it doesn't go your way?
Yes.
Because we've got some other testimonies to share, because I think it's really important. And we might be sharing a little bit about us. It's kind of turned into the journey so far. But the reason why it's so important to sometimes share some of these quote unquote failures that we had is because getting into a marriage, it's going to throw everything at you.
Yes.
And this is why we're so passionate about making sure that you build strong foundations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because me and Siobhan, like our relationship, like where we are now, and it's not even just to brag, it's like the strength of our relationship is based on what we built, our friendship, like the things that we did together, you know, whether that be prayer, you know, the visions, because we talked last week about collective vision and how important it is for every marriage to have a collective vision. Because if you're just living together, you know, just having children and going to work and coming back, and there's no purpose, it's very easy for you to say, oh, okay, well, see you later. I can do this with someone else.
Get redundant, yeah.
But every relationship has to have a collective joint purpose.
Absolutely.
Something that the two of you do together. And I'm not just talking, I mean, well, it might be having children and, you know, raising children, all that kind of stuff. But having that collective, searching and seeking out that collective purpose helps to make the relationship stronger, because you understand that vision is what you're there to accomplish together. So irrespective, you know, the Bible, well, not the Bible, but the marriage vow says, for better, for poorer,
for better, for worse,
for better or worse, richer or poorer,
in
sickness and in health. You know, you're gonna go through both extremes.
Yeah.
Because the both extremes are there to test you.
Yeah.
You know, so the negative extreme is there to see, have you got the staying power? Do you really believe in what it is that you're doing?
Yeah.
Do you actually believe in your marriage?
Yeah.
Like that in and of itself is a question all by itself.
Yeah.
Do you believe in your marriage?
Yeah.
That even when disappointment, even when things don't go your way, even when you tried that business once, you tried it again, second time,
Can you go
tried
back
it again the third time, and you're just like, you know what? No, God said it. Let's go again.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And sometimes in marriages, because I don't want us to make it seem like it's easy to do.
No.
Because, you know, especially when we get into things like infidelity and all that stuff, when trust is broken.
Yeah.
You know, that type of thing, it's not easy.
It's not.
Do you know what I mean? But at the same time of saying it's not easy, it's also not impossible.
That's right.
For reconciliation to happen.
That's right.
And I think we are in such a generation right now where it's just like, anything go wrong, see you later.
Yeah. Let's not even try to fix it. Let's just throw it away.
You know?
But these things are built to last. It's kind of like, you know, some people, when they look at a garment, it might get a hole in it and they'll be like, chuck it away. And then somebody else will be like,
no, I'm going to put a patch on that and make it into some fashionable items.
Exactly. And keep it rolling, keep it going. But we have to remember, there are some things that are recyclable, like you can throw it away. And then there are some things that are made to last. And people, love, it has the ability and the staying power to be made to last. There is no thing. Okay, so one of the things that I always marvel at is, how did we get to the stage of having bread? Who in their head said, right, I'm going to see this wheat growing in the field. I'm going to now grind it up, or pick it, pluck it, wash it, drain it, do whatever they're going to do. Take it through all of that process, mill it into flour, and then now add it with some butter or whatever else it is, bung it in the oven and get a bread. Like, that's been processed.
Come on.
Somebody did that to get a process. When you see natural hair and you see all the things that people do to it, blow dry it, straighten it, all those, that's been processed. We do these things to get to an expected end. But it's like with marriage, when we start being processed, we tap out halfway and say, no, I'm all right.
Can you imagine? Through. It's like trying to bake a cake and you halfway through you're just like, oh, I can't wait anymore. Like, just take it out. And it's all soft on the inside. It's not even cooked.
Or it's not even gone in the oven yet.
Jeez.
But your arm was getting tired from mixing it. So it's just like, it's long.
Doesn't feel good. It's mad.
It's my arm is hurting me. I'm not doing this anymore.
Marriage is work. You know, and I think we've sensationalized this relationship thing, where it's, you know, marriage goals, you know, she's a trophy, he's a trophy, you know, like, you know, wearing, you know, matching clothes and doing TikTok videos where they change outfits and they change outfits and they change outfits. I'm just like, what?
It's
you know,
lovely.
all of those things are amazing.
It's lovely.
But let that be built on foundation.
Yes.
Let that be built on foundation, because
that, although you're changing your outfits, the two of you stay the same. So you change the strategies for what is coming up against your life. So, okay, cool. You got something that's financial. Cool, we're going to change our strategy. You got something that's health. Cool, we're going to change our strategy. But we're still staying together. Because that's the point of the Don't Rush Challenge, I'm sure, that the people stay together. That they don't walk off. They don't say bye-bye. They don't give up and give in. They don't throw in the towel. But Divorce.
Yes, Claire, you can still do matching clothes. But we're saying let that be built on solid foundations, because social media, like my friend, my brother Manfred said on our chat with the guys, he said social media, a lot of people share their victories, and when he said that, it just rang so true in my
Absolutely.
head, because even, tomorrow when we're going to do our About Last Night, we're going to take a picture tonight and we're going to edit it. We're going to go through and say, nah, let's post the one that makes us look
best.
like, we're so in love, and we smashed that picture with the eyebrows going up, with teeth looking all white. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we only post our victories. We don't post the picture that went blurry.
Yeah.
We don't post the argument that we had, last week, or what I'm saying, we don't post, when we're telling off our children because they haven't done something that we expect them to do. We don't share that we're struggling at work, or do you know what I mean? Or we have a boss who is horrible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We don't share those things.
Yeah. Nobody does. No, I don't.
It should be called instant victories. That's what.
Exactly. Instant victories.
Victogram. I'm gonna patent that. Sorry, no, I'm joking. But it's like, divorce is a death of relationship. For those of you that are joining us, that's what we've been talking about. It's a death of a relationship, but it's even worse because the people are still alive. There's no funeral, and we're still living and seeing sometimes the results of what that relationship once was.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is to married and unmarried, talk about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And make sure that you are clear, because I think when you talk about it, then you're now deciding that, okay, what are we focusing on?
Yeah.
What is that collective purpose that,
right.
regardless of what happens,
Yeah.
and this is not to say that, now I can just go and do my thing and cheat and do all manner of madness. God forbid.
No.
Because whatsoever a man soweth, he will reap.
Yeah.
But it's a mentality shift. Do you know what I mean? It's a mentality shift. Victogram. Yes, I see. It's a mentality shift.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think it's also a maturity shift.
Absolutely.
Because to have a mentality of divorce is not an option, it means that you're mature. 100%. To say that, that's what I believe. You can disagree with us. But to be able to say that divorce is not an option, that's maturity.
It's staying power. It's saying that I'm not leaving, because I guess no matter how difficult it gets being a parent, we're not divorcing our children. There are some parents that are putting their children in foster care and so on and so on, and that is very, very similar to what that experience is, but for whatever reason they've had to go through that. But generally, as a parent, no matter how hard it gets with this child, you have to make it work. You have to afford them a clean slate. You have to be able to forgive and move on.
And that's what Christ gives to us. But the problem is that, and it's crazy, because even when you think about the relationship that we have, that Christ has given to each and every one of us, we have to be willing to take his forgiveness.
Yeah. It's big.
It's the same thing with marriages. It's like, sometimes it's whatever the thing is, whatever that catalyst is that has now disrupted the relationship.
Yeah.
Are the two people ready to work on it or work at it?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's kind of like, man, that is a strength of character. And obviously we're not trying to say that, if you're not able to get over whatever that mistrust was, we're not saying that you have to, we're not saying stay in an abusive relationship or anything like that. However, somebody told us about, a relationship that, the man and the woman, broke down and stuff like that. Their relationship broke down. And we were just thinking, man, wouldn't it, I wish we could speak to those couples.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? To say, does it need to end?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Does it need to end? Can we work something out? can we forgive and move forward? Can we say, okay, yes, we know that this thing has happened. You can address it in a bit. We know that this thing has happened, which has caused a whole load of mistrust and hurt and, you know, just trauma, you know? However, can we still work this out?
Yes.
You know? And I think attempting to work it out, I think, is where we need to try to move towards a bit more than just saying, you know what, I'm done. Because you didn't treat me like this, I'm done. Because you don't have the money, I'm done. Because you're not able to, you know, fund my lifestyle, I'm done. Because we've heard it. We've heard it before. Girls have been like, look, he's not making enough money, I'm out. You know,
forbid.
I need the hair, I need the nails, I need I'm done.
Yeah.
And we have to take all of these senses out and really begin to kind of just look at the root.
Yeah.
And just pray for just guidance and wisdom to be able to move forward and work things out.
Yeah, we are coming to the end, but I do want to come back to, I think it's JMA, just to say, like, I love your question, I love your heart, and thank you so much for posting the question that you have. There is no room for a marriage of any for people involved in it to accept being abused. There is no room for it. There is under no circumstance a justifiable reason for somebody to experience abuse within marriage, because that's not the intention of marriage. That's not what marriage is there for.
Not at all.
Marriage is there to support, to lift up, to promote, to push, to love, to encourage, to bear, not to put down, not to dismantle, not to break, not to destroy. And that's what abuse does. And that's not what love is. However, for centuries, unfortunately, that has taken place. That has taken place in marriage. And I think if at any point in time any person is being abused in any relationship, you definitely need to be able to step out and separate so that you can be safe. Your safety is
and
primary.
Your children.
Your safety,
children involved.
your children, if you have children, it is primary. And that's whether it's physical abuse, emotional abuse, mental abuse, whatever type of abuse. Abuse is not acceptable by any standards.
100.
It's not what God has for us. God has called us to have life and life more abundantly, not to be destroyed, not to be cut down or shut down, not to be made like to feel like we're worthless. That's not it, because he paid a price for us. But what I would say is, if you believe that this person whom you have married is the person whom you would like to continue to grow with, because I think that when we look at situations like this, we're looking at it as black and white. But it's not so. None of us are perfect. We all have our flaws. But the question is, can we find a new way of communicating with each other? Is the person who has the issue with the abuse or the issue with communicating to their spouse their emotions, is that person needing help? Is that person needing support? Because it could be that you don't stay in the house for them to work out how to get to that point, but you may pay for them to have less sessions with counselling, or you may support them by sending people their way who can speak with them, who can meet with them, who can help them to process and express their emotions. Because I'm not going to lie, if you've never seen love portrayed in the correct way,
it's difficult for you to create that.
It's difficult for you to generate it.
Especially if you're not flooding yourself with how it's supposed to be done.
Exactly.
Because I think sometimes we think, because we've come from a background where, you know, we haven't seen it modeled, it's almost an excuse for us to carry on the way that we've always known it. But the problem is that we have to continue to challenge ourselves that if we're coming from, even if we're coming from abusive relationships or we're coming from abusive families, that's not an excuse to now continue that cycle.
Perpetual the cycle. No,
You know?
definitely not.
Because even for me, you know, I'm coming from a home where my parents divorced when I was, you know, I think I was about 10 or something. So I never saw marriage portrayed the way that I kind of saw it in movies or read it in books and stuff. But I made it my almost life's mission as a young person to study it and to understand it and to kind of make it something that I wanted it to be, that I saw it becoming.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's just to help somebody out there that your situation doesn't dictate who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You have the power to change the trajectory of your future and your destiny. Do you know what I mean? If you weren't fathered when you were young, if you never got hugs and kisses and all that kind of stuff, learn how to do that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Don't go to the complete extreme where it's just like all hugs and kisses, because then it just gets a bit mad. Find that balance, but be determined that, you know, you're not going to allow what happened to you to continue.
That's right. That's right.
And yeah, I think what you said was key, guys. So I hope that has helped in some way. We're going to continue talking about this because this is a really, really
it's
big
such
issue.
a weighty topic.
And I don't think we could ever cover it in one night.
No. We just scratched the surface.
We're going to bring in some other people as well.
Yes, we've got some guests lined up.
Some guests, you know, some people who separated, divorced, and then got back together
remarried, you know.
Oh my gosh, that one I can't wait, because even I'm excited to hear. I've heard a snippet, but I need the fullness. So we're hoping to sort that out.
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got other couples lined up that we are going to be speaking to who just have been through some real testing situations where other people we know would have said, "Nah, tap out. I'm out. I can't stay through that."
Yeah.
But they stayed.
Yes.
So it's kind of like, okay, cool. We're hoping it will be hope to others that if your situation is anything like this, they managed to find a way through this.
Yeah, they fought through it and they made it through.
Yes.
And guys, we're not just saying just stay, you know.
No.
Because sometimes that can be a bit mad, where it's just like, oh, well, you know, the Bible says not to divorce. I'm just going to stay in this relationship. But I think the key is now working from now. For those of you that are unmarried, working on yourself and working on the relationships that you're in so that it never gets to that stage.
That's right. And that's why it's so important. You choose
where
rightly.
You want to stay.
You choose correctly. You make sure you have these difficult questions and answers and conversations from much earlier on.
Yeah, man.
So that when you get in, you are committed to somebody who you already know, we're going to be able to do this thing.
Yeah. Ride or die, man. All right, guys.
Yeah.
We hope that you've enjoyed tonight. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
That's right.
If you haven't done so, those of you on YouTube and Facebook, please like our page.
Yeah.
Click the subscribe button. Click the bell icon so that you get a notification the next time that we go live.
Yes.
Next week, we're going to be continuing with this subject.
Yeah.
Divorce is not an option. We're going to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
We're going to have some different types of conversations. Yes. We're really looking forward to it, guys. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be good. So thanks for tuning in. My name is Ulrich.
And I'm Siobhan.
And this has been Divorce is Not an Option Part 1. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Take care, guys. Bye.